comes to running Google Ads, not all landing pages are created equal. Not all post-click experiences are created equal. In this short video, what I want to do is discuss whether or not you should be using a landing page or a series of landing pages when running Google Ads. So a common theme I see time and time again is advertisers will go in and they'll DIY a campaign setup or an account setup, and they'll usually just set their homepage as being the landing page for the ads and the campaigns that are being run. So basically what that means is wherever someone happens to click on one of your ads, whatever the keyword, you just wind up sending people to the homepage. Now, in some instances, sending people to the homepage of your site is not a bad idea, but most of the time it is better if you've got the opportunity to do so, to use a custom landing page. And this can take quite a few different forms. So for example, if you're running an e-commerce business and you're advertising for men's tennis shoes, why would you send people to the homepage if you've got a specific category page that talks about men's tennis shoes and has links to all of your different men's tennis shoe products? It's so much better matched to the user's search, and that's really important for a couple of reasons. One is it's more likely to convert. So if someone clicks on an ad for men's tennis shoes, they've searched that, they click on an ad that talks about that, they hit a homepage that's got kids shoes and women's shoes and dress shoes and all those kind of things, and you've got to click around to find those men's tennis shoes that you wanted, you're going to be less likely to convert because it's kind of spoiled the process somewhat. It's spoiled the experience. You've kind of added, I guess, additional friction into the process to get someone to actually turn into a customer. So having a good targeted landing page can really help that post-click experience because everything's nicely aligned. And that's also important from the perspective of getting Google to be more likely to show your ad, because what Google really cares about is that someone who goes into Google and types in men's tennis shoes sees a relevant ad and they click on an ad that takes them to a relevant landing page that's as well matched to kind of fulfill the intent and demand of that search as possible. And so that targeted landing page about men's tennis shoes on your site, that's going to do a better job. And so you should, in theory, actually get better performance in terms of basically Google rewarding your ads with more frequency of being shown. You should get a better click-through rate, lower cost per click, all those kind of things. So it's basically all good news in terms of using targeted landing pages. Now, if you have a non-e-commerce site, you might not have very many landing pages. It's very common, for the kinds of clients I work with, for example, to have a fairly simple website. You've got something that's basically a digital brochure, a homepage, about page, contact, maybe some tech specs, those kind of things. In that case, what should you do if you're running Google Ads? We've got a couple of different options. One is you could just send people to your homepage or the next best fit page on your site. It's not really the ideal option, but it's probably still better than nothing, provided you're advertising on the right kinds of keywords. Another option is you could look to add more pages to your site using the kind of inbuilt site creation tool you've got. So if you've got a WordPress site, for example, your developer's probably built you a template that has a page template that you can use, or they built you a theme, I should say, that's got a page template you can use. Maybe there's even a landing page template within your theme that's been created for you. So it pays to ask your developer if you've got a website developer. But once again, sometimes that can prove a little bit challenging. Maybe the site's been built in such a way that it's not very easy for you to go and add more pages. Maybe you just don't have the budget to go back to the developer and get them to recode your theme or anything like that. Maybe you've got a site that just cannot very easily have more pages added on. I do see that happen from time to time as well. In that case, another option you've got is to use a standalone landing page tool. So something like Instapage or Unbounce, or applications like HubSpot and ActiveCampaign, for example, have their own landing page tools built into them as well. What these applications are for, these landing page tools, is basically to allow you to spin up landing pages much faster and much more easily than you would otherwise. And they're generally focused on trying to extract conversions from paid digital advertising. So it might be that your landing page you build in Instapage or HubSpot landing page builder or ActiveCampaign or Unbounce or any of those kind of tools doesn't really look exactly the same as your website, and that can be a point of friction. Quite often clients will say, I don't really want to use third-party landing pages because I've spent all this money and time developing a brand and I want that landing page or any landing page I use to carry that branding across. And I totally understand that, but at the same time, if it makes a big difference to the performance of your ad campaigns, it's probably worth using one of these third-party platforms. So with something like Instapage, you can bring across some of your branding elements, your logo, and maybe the font you're using and color scheme and all those kind of things. And you'll get something, as long as you put some effort in, that looks pretty good. It's never going to be spot on to how your site looks unless you spend tons and tons of time and effort. And even then, you might not be able to achieve the same look and feel, but you can certainly do something that is good enough. And as kind of abrupt as this may sound, good enough is often all you need to do, to be honest. Perfection can be a pretty crazy thing to try and chase sometimes. So yeah, a third-party landing page tool like Instapage, Unbounce, HubSpot's built-in landing page creator. It's a great option if you have a website that doesn't really have suitable landing pages built into it, and maybe you can't necessarily add landing pages to your existing site very well. The other great thing about using a tool like Instapage or Unbounce is that you can kind of spin up as many landing pages as you want within the limits of the plan you're paying for, without having to worry about things like, oh, is this going to affect me negatively from an SEO perspective? If you've got a WordPress website and you spin up 20 different landing pages, all targeted to maybe a fairly similar keyword or location or anything like that, and you don't do it correctly from an SEO perspective, there could be a negative impact. With Instapage, it's not really an issue. You can just host it on a subdomain or a separate domain or something like that, there's no real SEO worries there, unless you deliberately want to go down the path of overcomplicating things. So look, should you use standalone landing pages for Google Ads? My advice would be yes. At the very least, look for something that's more relevant to matching the user's search intent than just sending people to your homepage, whether that's a category page or a subcategory page, or even something like a blog post, or about page, whatever it is, a product page. That's a good first port of call. But if you've got a very specific query you're trying to fulfill, like best plumber in Auckland, for example, or any kind of niche inquiry or term like that, make sure you're sending people to a page that speaks to that, because not only is it going to improve that post-click experience for you and for your prospective customers, which should lead to better conversion rates, it's also going to improve the performance of your advertising. If you've got any questions, please do let me know. You can leave a comment in the comments section of this video. You can email me on info@samfrost.co.nz. Please like this video if you found it helpful, and please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.